athletes.
So do you reckon that the pressure on these young men playing league football would be at a different level of intensity, the average young man going through the early years of a professional career?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so all my friends now, I'm 28, they've gone through that, they've been through university. That has its own little stresses, but you pretty much do however you feel. You go get your first job, okay, you got to work long hours and you have pressure put on you to do work, but there is not the scrutiny in the review. You get reviewed every 6 months, or if you're lucky, every month to know where you're at. We're reviewed every single day. We get emails at the end of the day. This is how far you ran. You didn't run far enough. Here's your review. Everyone else can see how you performed on the weekend. Did you get a good rating? Here are the coach's comments. That's not just you reading that. That's the 44 players plus everyone else. I mean, that's the world AFL players live in from 18. If you're 30 and you've had life experience, you can tolerate that. You're probably sitting at home thinking, what's he complaining about? Put yourself in a kid's shoes just out of school, still living at home, and trying to adapt that kind of lifestyle. It just takes them time, and that's why they're vulnerable for that first 4 or 5 years, and we just need to make sure that that vulnerability is kept in check and managed.
So is there a better way to do it?
I'm thinking about that at the moment, Neil. A lot of people are. There's better minds than I. The Players Association are fantastic. They run some great programs. The clubs are employing more resources, sports psychs, player welfare managers. I heard from someone the other day that Manchester City, so they'd have 11 players that play. They probably have a squad of 20 or 30, I imagine. They've got 9 full-time. They call them what do they call them? They're just welfare managers. One of them is there for doing the visas of the players. There's guys for translators, guys to help the wives and families, guys that have psych backgrounds. They have 9 players for, let's say, 25, whereas we'd have 1 psych and 1 PDM for 44 players. So I think there's still scope to invest more money in that area, maybe spend a little bit less on sports science, a little bit more on that mental side.
So it's a really interesting area you've touched, because looking from the outside, the average bloke would say, oh, what a terrific life. You get to play footy, hang out with your mates, as you say, and then you got the week off and you train a bit. They wouldn't see the pressures, because the average person who plays footy, even at a reasonable level, isn't feeling a lot of that pressure running around in the amateurs.
No, but what I should say is I'm certainly not complaining. I wouldn't change anything for the last 11 years. For AFL footy has made me who I am. I'd be half the person. We spoke before this whole conversation started, how coaches have changed people's lives, Dipper, whatever, and whoever else. Absolutely, there's so much good stuff. But that is just the reality. People don't like to talk about it. I'm old enough and thick enough skin now that I can wear the criticism. People say, stop whinging, you've got a great job, you get paid a lot. I know that, that's fine. There's a lot of perks, but I'm just saying we need to be aware of the other side that people aren't as confident to speak about.
Just finally, Josh Bootsma, the Carlton player, contract terminated. You get warnings about this sort of thing, don't you? Misusing social media?
Yeah, we do. We get trained and educated around that kind of stuff. Again, young guys make silly decisions. It sounds like, from what I've read, this wasn't his only misdemeanor for the year, and often that's how these things work. You get a couple of goes, and eventually you don't fit their culture, and footy's all about that. If you don't meet the standards, you're out, because you can't have, it takes a team to be successful, and it takes one bloke to unravel it. So I think that's the call they've made.
You could see him looking back in years and saying, what did I waste?
Yeah, I've seen plenty of guys over the years with plenty of talent who don't want to do the hard work. So anyway, you forget them and you look at the guys that do the hard work.
Fascinating discussion. Thank you very much for coming in. Good to see you. And all the best.
Cheers.